How much money did you make in 2022, the full year?
Made $77,000.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 26 years old.
26 years old with a $77,000 a year business. Another on the road with a signing agent out in Utah. Scott, how we doing today, man?
Fantastic, Mark. It's good to be with you.
Oh man, I'm so glad you're here. It's to get the inspiration right out of the gate. We're recording this early 2023. How much money did you make in 2022, the full year?
Made $77,000.
$77,000 in a correcting market. We're now a normalized market, but you did that last year when everyone said, oh, it's so hard to be a signing agent. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 26 years old.
26 years old with a $77,000 a year business. When I say that back to you, what does that make you feel?
It's kind of overwhelming to think about sometimes because it's like, wow, that's a lot of money.
I
I
mean,
didn't think
it's
I'd make this kind of money at this age.
I mean, tell everybody how much you made at 25 and 2021. Now, mind you, that was a banner COVID year. 25 years old, how much did you make?
25 years old, I made $84,000.
Like insane, right? I mean, what a great story. So we're out in Utah. Everybody thinks, oh, you only can make money in California or Florida or Texas. And you're out here doing amazing out in the state of Utah. Let's take people through your journey, man. Let's kind of take everybody back. Your story's inspiring as any stories that I've shared. I mean, the age of 26, you've been a student of mine since 23 years old. So age is nothing but a number out there. If everyone's thinking about being a young signing agent, you can do it. But let's share your story, man. I mean, you're a young man. You have a well-established business, being a notary signing agent. Take us back.
Oh, it kind of goes all the way back to when I was 12 years old. I kind of got my very first taste of entrepreneurship. Um, but it goes even further back than that. When I was 5 years old, my parents got divorced. And it was really hard. It was really tricky. My mom became single and she was working, and trying to take care of us kids and trying to make everything work. And it was just really, really difficult for her. And eventually she was able to get remarried when I was about 11 years old. And she got married to this really good guy. And he was a good man and he was a good mentor and a good person in my life. And he had that spirit of just, you can, if you go after anything, you can have anything, in your life.
Mhm.
And I thought that was such an impressive thing. Um, and so he kind of was a mentor in my life. And he was like, hey, you should do something different. Don't just mow lawns with like most 12-year-olds, do something different. And so I rented inflatable water slides out to my neighbors for their kids' birthday parties and things. And he was like, it's such a brilliant idea. He's like, it's way better than babysitting and you're making, good money, but you're also doing something that helps out a lot of people. My stepdad, he suffered with depression and he suffered being a little bit bipolar. And unexpectedly, one day we got a phone call. He was supposed to be on a business trip, and turns out he was just down the road at a hotel, and he'd committed suicide.
Mm.
And it was a shock. It was mind blowing. I mean, instantly it was. I mean, the year was 2008, and the economy was awful. My mom was freaking out, didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. uh, like younger sister who has autism, and at the time I had a 3-year-old brother at that time, and it was just like, what are we gonna do? The economy's in a destroyed. We just lost my stepfather. Like, what are we gonna do financially? We ended up having to sell our house in 2008, which is like the worst time on earth to ever have to have sold a house. And we had to downsize back to the house that I had been raised in, and my mom's started to develop health trials because of all of the trauma and just everything that was going on there. And I was like, what am I gonna do? How am I supposed to help my family? How am I supposed to help my mom and my younger sister and my little brother? And I'm only, at the time I'm only 15 years old. I didn't know what to do. And so I went back to, if you can help other people, if you can, make it, do something unique, do something different, you can make money. And so I was like, what is the one occupation that I can do that could make me a lot of money, and that was to be an entrepreneur. And
Mm.
so my path started to change. I started to study, started to learn, started to grow, decided that, yeah, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be a small business owner and I'm going to do something big. But I wasn't exactly sure what kind of business it was going to be or how that was all going to work out. But I figured if I studied hard, worked hard, that it would change and happen.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. You know, I'm at a loss for words. What I was sharing, I don't think a lot of people I've really shared this publicly, but I lost a brother to suicide. And I know the feelings that come along with losing a family member to suicide. So um, thank you for sharing that. And what I think is the first inspirational part of your story is you immediately turned your trauma into triumph, right? Like you had a moment of like, got to do something for my family. And I don't really share this much myself, but I think this is, you can understand, but entrepreneurship saved my life, right? And what I mean by that is for me personally, going through some of my traumas, which I've shared, you know, entrepreneurship gave me a level of validation that I was always seeking from the world, for better or for worse. And the idea that I could build something and it can be mine, truly get rewarded for my effort, and no one can take that away from me. The way that like I could build something for my family, and someone just can't fire me from a job. And it sounds like entrepreneurship also kind of saved your life. It's like you gave me something to focus on, not the bad things that I'm going through, but it gave me like this light at the end of the tunnel. And I knew if I could reach that light, I could get somewhere that's going to better me and my family's life. Um, so my man, I just, I can relate to your story very well. I tell a lot of your student stories, and this one, man, has hit home for me. So, I find myself getting sad right now thinking about it, but I appreciate you, getting vulnerable enough to share with the community, because, if anyone else is out there, you're not alone, and being an entrepreneur really is something that for me and for you has really been, kind of therapeutic and I'll speak for myself. It gives me opportunity to focus on things that some of the other traumas that I've had that take me away from some of those thoughts. You know what I mean?
Something bigger,
Yeah.
bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And I think when we have those opportunities to, to focus on the building of the business, to focus on the building of the experience, instead of focusing on, oh, what's wrong with me, all the problems in my life, it allows you to go out and go, well, what problems can I solve for other people?
When you are come from a place of service, it's people who usually have traumas usually come from a real good place of service, and coming from a place of service is what makes a good business owner really a good business owner. When you chase the money never comes. And so when you chase the service and the value, and unfortunately sometimes trauma makes us see life in those lenses. And I refuse to believe that we can't get the good out of anything. And the fact that you, immediately at 15, or like when you downsize, you're like, I can't do this to myself or to my family. What do I got to do? And frankly, that's the pressure that a 15-year-old shouldn't have to feel. But you shared that today. So I just want to say thank you, man. I believe truly in my heart that, those experiences have made you the beautiful entrepreneur you are today, right? It made you a service first entrepreneur versus a money first entrepreneur. What I think is inspiring about you, man, is about all of you amazing students who've been sharing your journeys is, we all have our form of trauma, but the beautiful part of none of us stick in it. So, what kind of allowed you to move through and keep going at 15, 16? And if someone else is going through their dark times, or what kind of words of encouragement can you tell them that it does get better on the other side?
It's hard to put it really into words, but I think a couple of the things that were really impactful for me is having really good people around me, really good people that were supportive, even though all these things were really, really hard, talking to good people and helping find good people to rely on and to look at and say, who can be good role models in my life? Who can be good influences on my life? I had a teacher in high school in that period of time who said to me, he said, books are your mentors. And I took that to heart. I really started reading and looking, and she said, because she's like, you can't be with all of the people that you could possibly want to know. She said, but there are ways to learn from other people, from other people's mistakes, from other people's opportunities. So she's like, whether that's through a book or through a podcast or whatever that may be, She's like, you've got to find ways to learn from other people, to learn how did they make it through those hard times, and trust that because they made it through the hard times that you can make it through the hard times. And sometimes that's difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to just remember to take it one day at a time and say it's going to be okay, because there is something bigger and brighter ahead. What I'm building is going to be bigger and better than I can imagine or
Yeah.
anyone can imagine.
Man, it's crazy how when you allow yourself to kind of see the light, how bright it really is, right? And what I mean by that is you had this teacher, this mentor who made you realize that there's people out there who have done what you want to do. All you got to do is follow them. And in some crazy way that led you to my course, right? It's like if you didn't have that, like that idea of like someone could teach me or show me, maybe you would never bought my course. I don't know. And
Who
so
knows?
yeah, but I'm saying that advice is so good because learning never stops. We can learn from other people's mistakes. But man, I mean, you're 26 years old. You started when you were 23. You're still a baby. I mean, I can't wait to see where you when you're 30. Like this business is going to be to the moon. I mean, there's no doubt that you're going to have a 7-figure signing service. There's no doubt that you're going to build this thing, and it's you made $77,000 in a correcting market. I mean, this year you're going to blow out of the roof. We're in a normalized market now, and man, you're so strong because of what happened. And just thank you for sharing that, man. It's a beautiful moment of vulnerability. And Scott, let me ask you this. You're 26 years old. If Scott can build this business, can anybody build this business?
Build this business, because it doesn't take experience. It doesn't take knowledge, any specialized knowledge per se. It takes grit, it takes effort, it takes, that I'm going to just keep going at it no matter what happens. Through the ups and the downs, I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep making it happen. And not that there aren't hard days, not that there's not days where I'm like, man, it's hard to be a notary signing agent
Yeah.
today. But, there are days that I wake up and I'm like, man, I don't want to go sign papers today, but we got to go sign papers today because
Yeah.
that's how we pay the bills and that's what we got to do. Once you get out there and you're with the people and you're helping the people and you're, in the motions, you're like, wow, this is awesome. Great things are happening. And you see that it impacts and changes people's lives. And I mean, that's the reward. You come home at night and you go, man, I helped someone sell their house today, or I helped someone buy their house today, or I, help them refinance. I help them get into a better financial position. I help them with their will, their whatever it may be, right? Whatever you did that day, you can look back and go, man, I impacted, this many individuals today and their
Mhm.
families. And whether it's the simple little general notary work that, you were there for 5 minutes, to the, yeah, I was with them for an hour cranking out a reverse mortgage because they had a million questions.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, because you're going to wake up and you can end the day and know that you made an honest living and you worked hard and that you made a difference in your life as well as other people's lives.
You said something in the beginning of that answer. This business, it doesn't take a ton of specific X and O knowledge. It just takes grit, right? If you have grit, you can build this business. And I agree with you. I never say this business is easy, but I will say it's simple. And what's simple is you just got to talk to 10 people and 3 will use you. You got to talk to 20 people, you'll get 60 use. You got to talk to 30. Like the grit has to be there, right? The effort to go talk to 10 people, the effort of going to calling signing services up, the effort of talking to escrow officers, title officers, attorneys. But if you can just give your business grit, there really is success on the other side.
I mean, if you keep at it long enough, you're going to push through the mountain. You don't have to climb it. Sometimes you can just, hack your way through it. It's like, okay, I may not be able to climb that mountain because we're in Utah. We have lots of mountains all around us. And it's like, okay, I can't climb that mountain, but I can definitely pound my way through it, or I can, work from halfway up of it, and that'll
Yeah.
be enough.
I love that analogy. It must be a Utah analogy of like, bust through the mountain, because it's kind of like that saying that says if there's a wall, all you got to do is build a door. And some people get lost in like trying to climb the wall versus building a door through the wall. And that's your same mountain analogy. Is like you don't going to get overwhelmed with the mountain, right? Because looking at the mountain gets you a little overwhelmed. Like, how am I going to scale that thing? Sometimes you can move through the mountain. You can push through the mountain, and that's grit. That's the effort, right? I mean, does it take a little muscle to push through mountain? Yes, but with enough of it, success is inevitable.
I mean, you keep going back to that escrow office. You keep going back to that loan officer. I mean, I had an escrow officer tell me, yeah, I don't use mobile notaries. I never have, never will. They're a client of mine today because I kept coming back month after month after month after month, right? Like, I just didn't give up. I was like, no, you will be my client. Like, so I want to work with you because I know we're on the same wavelength. We're the same type of person. We need to be in business together. And finally, the day did come that they were like, oh, I do have a problem. There is a situation where I need that mobile notary, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you're persistent, the time will come. Whether they believe it or not, the time will come that they're going to call you.
I want everybody to rewind what you just said right there. Right. They don't know yet, but they're going to be my client, right? I am persistent. Like this lady told me straight up, I am not going to use you, but you didn't take that as a no. You took that as a, I'll see you tomorrow. And what I love about these interviews, it's the mindset, right? I mean, people look at you, Scott, and they see $80,000 in a correcting market. You're going to blow those numbers out this year. And they think it's luck. They think like, oh, Scott must be better than me. Oh, when it's just like, I just don't take no for an answer. And that's the mindset that I love that comes out in these conversations. It's not that you're better than somebody, but like what I'm gathering from this is no one's going to outwork Scott.
And sometimes it's like, yeah, and maybe it's for months that they'll tell me no. Or maybe, oh yeah, classic answer I always get is, oh well, yeah, we don't need that right now. We're good. We're good. Right. And it's like, just keep my number just in case, because there is going to be a day. Escrow officer is going to say, oh, actually, I do need to go to a concert, or I want to go hang out with my family, or I want to take off early and go to spring break. I mean, had one on Monday. Escrow officer called me on Friday. Hey, I just got this deal that needed to be moved up. I need you to go close it for me on Monday because I'm going out of town. Right. Haven't heard from him in like 3 months, but here he is calling me because he's like, I know that you would answer. I knew that you would show up because that's what kind of person, and that's the business that you built. That's that relationship that we've established, is that I'm always available when you call.
I'm writing notes down here because you're saying so many good things. The first thing that you said is, there's some clients that took me months of marketing to get. I think people need to hear that. People have this belief, Scott, that it's like, oh, well, these signing agents are walking in. Well, they must live in Los Angeles or they must live in Dallas. You're in Utah. And it's like, I'm going to the same escrow officer for months before they say yes. And I want people to realize that that's why students like you are making money, not because you're quote unquote better than somebody. It's just you're outworking somebody. You're out persistenting someone, if that's even a word, but you're persistent.
Staying on their mind.
That's right. People ask me all the time, Mark, what do you say on the follow-up? Like, what do you say when you're walking back in? Sometimes you don't need to say anything because it's not what you say that matters. He knew that I would be there because of how many times I showed up. Your consistency of showing up was the best thing you can tell them without saying it. He knew through the effort that you put in. It's like, he knew by the consistency of follow-up, you had to run your business a certain way. You're a certain type of person. You're a certain type of business owner. You're a certain type of signing agent. He knew you would be available because of your consistency. So sometimes it's nothing about what you say, but everything about what you're giving off the perception of when following up. And so they might not call you the first 7 times, but when they need you, they're going to call you and you're going to make $150.
For this takes $200 because it was so last minute, and he was like, you can have my whole fee. I don't even care. He's like, I just need it done.
Again, people look at successful signing agents and that what they're not seeing is the work behind that $200. It's like,
didn't see me going in for 6 months. It's 6 months, and it'll go again and again and again. And him telling me, yeah, I just don't have anything for you yet. I don't have anything for you. I don't have anything for you. I'm like, yeah, I know you don't, but you're going to call me when you do.
yeah, no, I mean, 6 months. I hope everybody heard that. Like, you're so inspiring, man. Again, thank you for being so vulnerable with your journey. And what I'm trying to say is real stories of real signing agents. That's sometimes at 6 months of marketing to the same person. I've always said this is a real business. This is not a get rich quick scheme, but if you're able to do what Scott has done, you will build a successful business in any market. I mean, $77,000 a year in a correcting market. It's incredible, the consistency. But now I know why you're consistent. It's because you're not afraid to go to the same person 6 months. So, man, what a great conversation so far. I love digging into your mindset. So I want to dig into it a little bit more. So let's talk about your income journey, right? You've been a student of mine for 3 years. Basically, you were fortunate enough to come into the business right before the COVID boom, okay? You got in 2020. 2021 was the spike. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about 2022 because rates went up in 2022. A lot of notaries were flooding the dashboards. This is you still hear that to this day. Interest rates are 7%. Why would you want to be a notary when they're 7%? Meanwhile, you're making $80,000 in a year where rates were 7%. You're going to make that this year. So my question to you is more, is your mindset when 2022 happened, right? We come out of the best year you've had as a signing agent. Talk me through your mindset. Talk me through what changed in your business model so other signing agents can kind of be inspired and see kind of the pivot you made in your business.
So, I mean, at first it was kind of nerve-wracking. It was scary. I was like, wow, what in the world is gonna happen? I'm
Right.
like, here we go, right? Like, because there were so many notaries just talking to real estate officers, loan officers, escrow officers, all going, it's 2008 all over again. And I'm like, y'all survived 2008. You're all still here to tell the tale. So I don't know what the deal is, but and maybe that because I'm young, I'm like I was a teenager when 2008. I mean I knew what was going on, but I didn't really. I'm like I didn't work in the market, but
Well, real quick, I love your sentiment of like, well, you survived 2008, so I'm confused why that's a big deal. And you're totally right. It's like, sometimes people just like talking when the sky's falling when it really isn't falling. But keep going.
yeah. So I'd already bought my ticket um to the conference, and I came to the conference. We talked about gratitude, and we talked about just continuing to stay the course, right? Not to fall out of the boat per se, just not keep doing what we're doing. And so I came back in August, and I started going, okay, yeah, things are going to be a little tough, but it's going to be okay because real estate's not the only thing. There's plenty of other general notary work out there. Like there's always going to be people that are going to need my services. I just got to go find them. I got to go figure out who they are, and I got to go chase them, and I got to hunt them down. And so I just kept doing what I was doing. Like I didn't stop marketing. Instead, I started to ramp up my, levels, started going, okay, I'm going to need more clients. I'm going to need more effort. I'm going to need more of this. I'm going to need more of that in order to make this work. I'm going to need more sources of flow. Like before that, I hadn't done any general notary work. Like I'd been a notary almost 2 years, and I hadn't done almost 2.5 years, and I hadn't done any general notary work. I was like, okay, gotta add general notary work to for the flow. I gotta get my Google listing. I gotta follow everything. I gotta start making sure that I'm everywhere and talking to more people, get out there, do more and more stuff. Because when it was so COVID crazy, I just didn't have time to do the marketing. I didn't have time to do that. It was like, okay, I gotta go back to basics. I gotta go to marketing. I gotta do marketing 101. Gotta visit more offices. I gotta talk to more people. The people that I am getting business from, I need to keep following up with them. I need to make sure that they still know that I'm still here for them.
I,
And
I can listen to you talk all day, man. And I hope, again, I'm going to say this, I think for the third time, rewind what you just said. I'm trying to write down quotes that you say, and you said something that was so good. And that's, I just got to go find the clients that need me. And that's the mentality, right? It's not that the sky is falling. It's like, I got to go find the people who need my services. I got to talk to more escrow offices. I got to create deep relations with my current clients. And I think that's what people are missing here, right? The people on the chat boards in 2022 and even in 2023, when rates are still 7%, it's this idea that like, no, the business is there. You just say, go find it. Like real estate offices aren't boarding up. Coldwell Banker's not going out of business. Compass isn't going out of business. Wells Fargo's not shutting down their mortgage division. I mean, there are loans closing. You just got to go find them. Just like you said, I just got to go find the clients who need me. I got to get back to basics. I got to get back to marketing 101. I got to get back to effort. And that's why you're making $77,000, $78,000 last year in 2022. That's why you're going to make that much or more this year in 2023. You're not complaining that interest rates are 7%. Everyone who's complaining are the ones who are not working. You will never hear somebody working complain. That's why you're not in the Facebook group saying, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, because the sky's not falling. I got to get
I don't
back
have
in
time to
effort.
look at that. I got to go find people. And not to say that it hasn't been hard. I've lost clients. I've had loan officers who are like, love you, Scott. It's been great working with you, but we're getting out of the business. Realtors, same thing. Escrow officers that are like, hey, we got fired because the office is downsizing.
Yeah.
Right. And it was hard. And I was like, man, that's tricky. I really like doing business with you guys. Like you were giving me deals every single month. Like you're gone. Like I've got to go find somebody to replace that loss.
I got to find somebody to replace that loss. As much as we hate traumas is what makes us strong and resilient. Some people who haven't experienced what you have may have folded when their escrow officer folded. But this idea of like, I'm not going to fold just because they fold. is because of what you had to go through to get here today, man. I tell every one of you students who share these stories of vulnerability is your traumas have made you a better business owner. And I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying that's the truth. I am aware because of my personal traumas, it's made me strong. Like hearing the word no compared to what I've been through is nothing. I'm like, no does not hurt my feelings because I've been rejected many, many times in my life. But I'm not naive to the fact that my traumas have kind of built this tough skin. And so I know you shared something so vulnerable as your stepdad, committing suicide and throwing your whole family in a frenzy right when you're entering your adolescent years. And an entrepreneurship kind of gave you the light that you needed. And I wanted to make the point to you, man, that you just said it so nonchalantly, like, okay, he's out of business. I got to go find another one. That doesn't come naturally to a lot of people. That's why I wanted to stop and have that moment with you, dude, is because if everyone hears that, it's like, if you lose a client, yes, that sucks, but that doesn't mean you need to go into a hole. That doesn't mean you wrap up your own business. You literally said, I just got to go find a new one because a new one's out there.
And I think it's even just that mentality of saying it's okay that I lost them and it's sad and it's okay to grieve and it's okay to say, yeah, it's man, that was great. We had a great run together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told one of them who was getting out, I said, hey, you'll be back. I bet you'll be back because it's hard to say no to the good money. It's hard to say no to the, whatever. And he said, yeah, he's like, if I ever get back, I'll call you. And I said, okay, save my number in your cell phone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm in this for the long haul. And that's what I told all my escrow officers at the beginning of January. Went around to them and I said, hey, they said, I'm like, I'm still in business. I'm still here. My doors are still open.
I mean, again, you say so many amazing one-liners that I'm in it for the long haul. And when you really realize that you're in it for the long haul, there's gonna be ups and downs. Every industry in America has ups and downs. By the way, $77,000 to me is still an up. I mean, that's incredible. No matter, even in a COVID boom, 77,000, 80 grand a year at 25, 26. Like, come on. I mean, that's unbelievable. So, but to your point, it's the mentality. I'm in it for the long haul. So therefore the short-term loss of a client doesn't derail me. I want everyone to understand that. Is like when you really commit to the long-term future of your business, I have lost more clients. I've been in this 20 years, believe it or not. I've lost more clients in 20 years than I probably have gained new ones, if that makes sense. Loss of clients is just something that happens in any business cycle. And when you just allow yourself to realize I'm in for the long haul, then it doesn't become so gravitating. It doesn't become so polarizing when you lose somebody. You're like, hey, I know you're going to be back. And when you are, holler at your boy because I'm still going to be here. Man, what a good conversation, Scotty.
And I think it's also just remembering that like the market goes up and down. It's just, and every industry goes up and down. And lots of realtors are going to jump out. Lots of the mortgage officers are going to jump out. That's just what they do. They're going to go find other things. Same with escrow officers. But eventually they're going to come back when the market starts to, ramp up again. When we have another, surge, right? They'll all be back and they'll all be like, oh, I remember I have Scott on speed dial for that, phone call.
Yeah.
And because we're playing the long game, we're not playing the short month to month game. We're playing the long game of this business is going to be here for a long time. The real estate market isn't going anywhere. Notarizations aren't going anywhere. We're here for the long haul. And because we're here for the long haul, like I told one of my escrow officers, I was like, I'll probably be doing this long after you're retired. She's in, her 50s, it's like, yeah, you're probably not going to be around as long as I'm going to be around in it. But as long as you're in the business, I'll be in business. Right. And I think that's the mentality that we have to have.
When you realize that when you're in it for the long haul, then market cycles aren't as polarizing. And I think it's hard to lose sight of the long-term vision in a downturn. But when you realize downturns are just part of the journey, like you said earlier, like you guys talk about 2008, but you survived it. Like 2008 was just another blip, right? This will go by, and making $77,000 in a blip. Again, Scott, I give you all the credit in the world, man. I'm proud of you, bro. You're so young. It's insane that you're doing six figures at 25. It's insane you're doing almost 80 grand in a correcting market. But to your point, this is part of the journey. I signed up for it. And I don't think a lot of people get that this is part of what you're signing up for, right? And when you realize that there's market cycles and there's always going to be new business, people are always going to be buying, selling, refining. To your point, general notary work. Like, this is an unbelievable business. So Let's kind of move to the next question of this conversation. You got a buddy. He's like, yo, give me one piece of advice outside of taking Mark's course. Give me one piece of advice to move my business forward. What would your one piece of advice be to a signing agent?
I would say start by first, by taking your course. That was an investment in myself, right? Which then gave me the skills to go help other people, right? If you want your business to be successful, you want to help other people get what they need to be successful in their businesses as well. You're building your business, you need to help them build their business because they're business owners just like you. The realtor, they're a business owner. Loan officer, they're a business owner, right? If I'm not helping them, if I'm not delivering value to them, if I'm not saying, hey, these are ways that I, as a mobile, you told this to a whole realtor's office. I said, I'm here to help you guys. Like, I'm here to make you guys look good, right? Like, that's the whole point of us being in business together. It's not for, like, yeah, we both want to make money, but the real goal is that we're both trying to help our clients. We're both trying to help everybody that needs to be helped. And by me helping them, right, that's going to help them grow their business. And as they grow their business, then they're going to help me grow my business and so on and so forth.
I just sit back as just so proud of you, dude. Part of this comes so naturally, and I'm going to say it again because you shared something so vulnerable. Is, you know, when we go through something as life changing as what you experienced, or whatever someone's version of what you experienced is you learn to operate life from a place of service. You learn how to have gratitude for every moment. You learn how to be grateful, and part of, you know, your tip of, you know, really being in service of the people that you get business from is a beautiful one, because like you said, you basically just told people what your pitch is. It is, I'm here to make you look good. I'm here to help you grow any realtor wants to hear that. But the problem is most signing agents going like trying to figure out, oh, how can I make money from you, instead of how can I serve you? And your line of, my goal is to make you look good. What realtor wouldn't want to hear that? What realtor wouldn't want to work with a notary who really puts them first? We're in a service-based business. And when people get that is when everything changes. People think we're in a transaction-based business and like, oh, well, I'm just gonna go around and get signatures and throw it in FedEx. Like, no, that signing you're doing is someone's buying them the American dream. That loan you're doing is a realtor's trying to get a referral, lender's trying to get a referral. So if you can make them look good, you can build your business.
And maybe it's not even the loan officers or the realtors or the, escrow officers. Sometimes it's the smaller people in the office that you're making a difference with. I just landed a new client last week because completely new title company. I didn't even know they existed. They're a newer title company. One of the escrow assistants that used to work at one of my title companies, like clients, called me up and said, hey, Scott, you still in the notary biz? We need a mobile notary, right, to come and handle this deal. And I was like, yeah, I'm still in business. He's like, hey, same price, same everything. I was like, yep, just like we did before. And he's like, I was like, how did you remember me? And he said, because you were always so like friendly when you came into the office. You were always like, you didn't care that I wasn't an escrow officer. You just were a nice, friendly person, even though I was just, the little guy, working in the business, right? So everybody in the business matters. Everybody
That's right.
matters, whether they're the, underwriter or the processor or the escrow assistant or the front desk person, because those are the people that are going to be able to help you know what's going on.
That's right.
They know what's going on in the office. They're going to know other people. Even though he's at a completely different title company, I haven't talked to him in over a year now, right? I haven't seen him in a year, but yet he remembered me because of that impact, because I was looking to serve him and serve everyone, not just, okay, who in the office can give me signings? He never gave me a signing while he was working in the office, because he was on the title side of things.
There's a very obvious reason why you're as successful as you are. It is an understanding. You put a really human side to this business, right? People aren't a dollar sign to you. People are people. And the more you realize that this is a real human relationship based business, and more importantly, an authentic relationship business, when you can authentically just say hello to someone, just to say hello to them. And when you really ask, how are you doing? And actually sit there for 5 minutes and want to know how they're doing, even to the people who are not giving you business, that pays off. And that's why it really pays off to be a good human, especially in this business, not just in life. and that relationship you created with the receptionist, or the underwriter or the stock boy, can change your business if you're just a good real human being.
You never know where they're going to end up next.
That's right. That's right. You don't know who's going to be there in the long term. And if you can just be a real authentic human being, like, everything changes, right?
And it's even the people that you're working with. I mean, I have a guy who he's a real estate investor. I did his refinance on his primary residence. I didn't know he was a real estate
All right.
investor. We've now closed 60 deals together
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
that one good interaction. Because he's like, hey, you were a professional, you took it serious, you made this refinance easy. He said, so he called me. He's like, this is the title company I work with, call them, where they're in this state, here's their number, call them, get whatever you need to get done, right? And
Again, dude, you're dropping fire. I hope everyone hears this. What a lot of people don't realize is signings themselves can be marketing moments. Signing themselves can be really authentic relationship building moments. The borrowers, you never know who's an investor. You never know who's a realtor. You never know whose brother is the top billing loan officer in town. And so so many people are concerned about, Mark, how much money can I make an hour? It should be more like how much impact can you make in an hour, hour and a half. It's nothing about the time. Yes, the money's good if you can get your signing down to 45 minutes, but the money's even better if you can create a real relationship. And that one signing turned into 60, like you just shared. Incredible. But again, this is what this all conversation just tells me, is the power of just being authentically you, building authentic relationships, and realizing it's not about the money. And when you stop chasing the money, everything changes.
it's because when we had our very first interview for almost 3 years ago now, right? When
Yeah.
at the end of the loan signing system course, we talked about those things, and you said, Scott, are you calling those realtors? Are you talking to those people? Are you following up? Are you finding, those opportunities? And I really took that to heart. I'm not perfect at it, but I tried to look for everybody that I'm doing with potentially has the opportunity to be another signing in the future. And that happens. It's that repeat business. It's just magic. It's, hey, you did our loan for us 6 months ago. Hey, we now are doing our will. Can you come help us with that?
Yeah.
Right. It's that kind of, because they remembered me. You made an impact on their lives. You made it not a bad experience. You didn't make it a transactional experience. We made this the most important thing. I always tell people at the end of the transaction, congratulations on being the newest homeowner in America, right? When they buy their house for about 15 minutes. Someone else will be on around the next time, right? But everyone's going to do that. Everyone's going to have that opportunity where, they sell their house. Yeah, now, now you're ready for your next adventure. When you're ready to buy something else, call me for the next one, right? Whatever that may be. And maybe they don't call me. Maybe they're going to be in another state or wherever, but we're building that concept of everyone should be using the mobile notary business. Like, there is no reason you should be going to a title company, and it is 2023, for goodness sakes. If Uber can bring, a car to your house, DoorDash can bring food to your house, and Amazon can ship anything to your house, why can't the notary come to your house to make your real estate transaction easier? And they always go, yeah. And they're never going to want to go back if they have an amazing experience. They're going to be, man, that notary experience was phenomenal with Scott or with Mark or whoever it may be. And they're going to go, I want to do it that way every single time going forward.
You have given so many script nuggets that you've turned into your own, these scripts you've created, and I can't take credit for all of them. Like what you just said at the end, being, if DoorDash can do this, could Uber can do this, and a mobile notary can do that. I mean, I hope everybody just takes notes on this conversation. So, man, Scott, you're dropping fire, dog. All right, well, let's head to the last question that I always ask. And, this question, Scott, is specifically to help somebody who may be going through some self-doubt on becoming a signing agent. So I like to kind of wrap up and talk to kind of someone who's watching this right now saying, okay, I get it. Money's good. I got to be authentic relationships. Scott's advice was great, but I still have this moment. I know everyone has a little bit of self-doubt, especially when they first start. So I'm just trying to dig into what your self-doubt was. And so maybe someone can feel like they're not alone or unique if they had it. So what were you doubting yourself in the beginning? And so it helps someone else right now.
At the beginning of my journey, and it's still a problem today. Like, there are still days that I'm like, man, it is scary sometimes to walk into people's things and to be able to say, yeah, I'm the right person for this job. To have that feeling of I'm qualified to do this, that I'm sufficient enough to be the one to close this loan. Because I'm young. Most everybody that I work with is significantly older than me. They're in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Like I'm the young guy when I walk into the office. Most of the people that are my age in the office are like underling, front desk person or
Yeah.
the, runner from, between title and escrow or the bank or whatever, right? Like I'm talking to the people that are making, the real money, the higher end
Yeah.
people, in the office. And it's intimidating, right?
Yeah.
You're walking in, you don't know these people. Maybe you do, even if you've been there a couple times, you're starting to know all the names and of all the different people in the office. But it's still intimidating and it's still like, are they really gonna hire me to
Yeah.
do this job for them?
Yeah.
Like that, because it's like, they're gonna pay me money to go do this, like, am I really the best qualified person to do this? And some days it's like, "Oh, yeah, I've got it, I can do
Yeah.
it." But there's other days where it's like, "Man, this is intimidating, like, am I gonna miss a signature? Am I gonna
Yeah,
mess
I
something
mean,
up? Am
look,
I gonna"
imposter syndrome is real, right? Imposter syndrome shouldn't be looked down upon because it does create a lot of people not from taking action that they deserve. Because, Scott, let me tell you this right now: you deserve the business you've built, man. You are worthy of
Mhm.
success. You're worthy of taking this to the next level. You're worthy of every signing. And sometimes people just need to hear that. And so, what would you say to someone who's experiencing that right now? Like someone watching this is just like, man, I'm not worthy of $150 an hour. How did you get through the imposter syndrome? How did you get through the self doubt? How do you get through it today? So we can help someone else who has this, like, I'm not worthy, right? Because we all are.
Well, I think one is remember your education, remember your training, remember your value, right? Like if you put in the work, you've done the effort, right, to get there. If you've taken Mark's course or you haven't taken Mark's course, whatever it may be, like we all have education, we all have experiences that have brought us to that point. And like we wouldn't be in that point if we hadn't had those experiences. And so to fall back on those experiences and say, well, I've been successful with these things in the past. I can be successful with this one today. And okay, I've completed that once. I completed, 2,000 signings, right? Successfully. Let's do another one. Let's one more, one more, one more. It's just, taking those steps at a time. And sometimes it's hard to say, yeah, it's not the easiest thing on earth to, walk in and get up every morning and be, confident, but it's okay, let's get out there, let's talk to the people, because once we're out there helping the people, then it's not so intimidating anymore. It's like I'm not here trying to ask you for money. I'm not here trying to, rob you. I'm here to try to help. I'm here to help make things better. And remembering that can I be helpful? Am I being helpful by being here, or am I being a hindrance by being here? And most of the time you are being helpful because you're delivering value. And if you're not, then figure out how you can, change, make that change.
Love the first thing you said. The first thing came out of your mouth was remember your value. And I don't think people do. I think that's the biggest key to overcoming imposter syndrome, or the biggest key to answering the question, am I worthy? You are worthy when you remember your value. Like, remember how great you are. Remember that you are deserving of whatever you're working for, because you said put in the effort, right? The effort makes you remember that I've deserved this moment. I deserve this time. And so even if you're someone who's looking to become a signing agent and they're asking themselves, can I do this? Is remember your value. The answer is yes. We're all valuable people. We all bring value in our own way, and I don't think enough people do. What I love too is what you wrote. I'm looking down the notes. Is fall back on your experience. I love that, especially if you're a newer student or signing agent. Is remember you've put in the work to get to this point, and that kind of goes hand in hand with remember your value, right? When you're actually out there putting in the reps, putting in the effort, you're going to remember that you're worth the value because you're out there putting the effort. And so a lot of people kind of stick in their house and they don't actually go out the door. And once you're out the door and you're doing the things you're supposed to do, that makes the imposter syndrome go away because now you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the reps. And it's amazing what happens when that happens. And the last thing that I wrote down, when you realize that you're trying to help, the imposter syndrome goes away. Because sometimes the imposter syndrome comes is because it makes you feel like you're just taking. And no one likes to take. But if you turn the take into a give, right, or a help, as you put it, then the
Mhm.
imposter syndrome kind of goes.
And I think it's just continuing to figure out ways to continue to deliver more value, right? If you're not feeling like I'm giving enough value, then it's like, okay, well, then what are you lacking? What are you not doing enough of? For me, if it's like, okay, what can I do to deliver more value? How can I make whoever's getting this package back, their lives easier? How can I, reach outside of oneself. Whether that's okay, instead of just sending in filling out the signing service report, right, to tell the signing service that you've completed the work, give them a call and say, hey, this signing went really well, right? Because as someone who's done a few signings at the signing service now, no one ever calls the signing service and says, hey, thanks, that everything went well. It's usually just like, here's the email, thanks, please send me my money, right? And so, and the same thing with the escrow, same with the loan officer. I mean, I had one of my loan officers who's a client who almost every single month tries to send me at least one deal. The very first time I called him and told him that his deal was done, he said, I've been doing this for 25 years and no one has ever called me and told me the signing is complete. I've been doing this. He's like, I've never had an escrow officer. He's like, I've never had a realtor. He's like, I've never had a notary. He's like, let alone a notary. He's like, I've been doing this 25 years and nobody's ever called me and said, hey, I just got walked out of your signing with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That was a game changer for him. It was mind blowing to him because he had just never had anybody do that for him.
What you just stated is the loan signing system way. And you're really giving credibility to everything that the course kind of teaches. And I share that because I think the ending note is the most successful people are the best implementers. You didn't reinvent the wheel. You listened to your mentor back in high school who said, just copy people so you don't make the same mistakes. Learn from people on a path that you want to go down. And everyone has the same course, Scott. Not everybody makes those phone calls. You were taught to make phone calls to whoever you did signing and anyone involved in the transaction to let them know and build those relationships. And you have. And so you were one of the best implementers in the program. And so you deserve all the business. I hope everybody hears that. You're an implementer. And that's, in my opinion, part of the reason, not all, part of the reason you're as successful as you are. And because everyone's like, well, how come you have some students making $80,000 in a year and some students who can't make more than $500 in a month? And in my opinion, becomes the implementers are making $80,000. And so don't reinvent the wheel. Just do everything you're taught. Put your spin on it like you have so beautifully, like your DoorDash, Uber, mobile notary, that little script, beautiful. I take zero credit for it, but you use the foundation and implemented. And I want everyone to hear that if you just implement, you can get successful.
You take those foundational things and you build on them and make them your own, right? Because if they're not your own, then it's not authentic. It's not going to feel real. If I go in and I do the Mark Wills pitch, they're going to be like, who are you? But if I go in and I do the Scott Warner pitch, then they're like, I got this. Right. This connects. It resonates. And it doesn't resonate with everybody. Not everybody's like,
and that's okay.
But it's okay because they will resonate with the people that I'm supposed to do business with.
And bada boom, bada bing. I'm going to end with that. I mean, you've dropped so much fire today, and I just want to say thank you. And your last sentence of like, I'm not supposed to do business with everybody. I think a lot of new signing agents believe they are. And when they don't do business with everybody, the sky is falling. Instead of realizing that you can speak to 10 mortgage professionals and literally only 3 or 4 are going to use you. And that's an okay thing. But people come into the business thinking they're supposed to hit 10 out of 10. And when that happens is when discouragement comes in. So thank you for letting people know that I market to 10 people and I don't think the sky's falling when all 10 don't use me. I get it. Some I will say no, but I'll be back for 6 straight months. Some are going to say yes. But building a business from consistency, putting your spin on the foundation. Scotty, I appreciate you, dog. This has been an unbelievable conversation. And mark my words, signing service is next. Let's build this thing to the moon, baby.
Mark, appreciate you. And it's been a great talking with you.
You too, man. Thank you. Let's go. Bye.